had numerous acts of violence, injustice, and discrimination happen within its borders, such as ISIS threats, mass murders, acts of police brutality, an increase in poverty, an increase in illegal gun sales, an increase in unemployment, a decrease in moral standard, natural disasters, corrupt politicians, rights denied to faithful citizens, riots, petitions, and protests. As we reflect on the list above, we begin to realize the state of our country appears to be in utter turmoil and gives the impression of being completely shattered on the principles that it was built on. We begin to wonder if all the legacies of people like Nelson Mandela, Gandhi, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. have been forgotten somewhere in our history books, particularly because we highlight Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day as a national holiday, and his dream is the reason we are able to convene in areas of society so comfortably. We occasionally think about him and what he stood for when trouble in our nation comes. However, Dr. King's dream is not forgotten. His dream is simply waiting to be reconstituted in a civilization that has not yet identified its worth. Yet the purpose of this celebration is to recognize the significance of his dream and to fortify the value of it in our community. Dr. King's dream matters because it redefines the vision of hope and outlines the principles of true equality. In August 28, 1963, Dr. King gave his infamous I Have a Dream speech. Most of the time when organizations have commemoration ceremonies on the accomplishments of Dr. King's life, we always hear the quotes from that specific speech. Although Dr. King was one of the most powerful speakers in history, no one ever highlights the participants in the march on Washington and what they said. According to the New York Times, spectators were extremely interactive as King spoke. One lady by the name of Mahalia Jackson screamed out to King during his speech, "Tell him about the dream, Martin." Her response symbolizes to me a nation of hope. The United States at that time was desperate for anybody, somebody, to tell them that the best was yet to come, especially the African American race, who had been beat down and punished for unknown crimes. After being lied to again and again, his dream was imperative and mattered the most at that time because someone had to envision hope for a hopeless nation. In the 21st century, his dream continues to matter for so many people who just need a shred of hope and to help them through their journey. Racial equality was a primary focus in the 1960s. Nevertheless, King's dream did not just stop at everyone being equal, but recognizing each race equally and respecting it. The true principle of racial equality is not being colorblind to different races, but instead seeing each race, whether it's African American, Hispanic, white, or Native American, as equal under the law of the land. The 14th Amendment of the Constitution states that all persons born or naturalized in the United States are entitled to every right in the Constitution. Although the amendment was ratified for the protection of slaves, it was not made just for the African American race. The dream matters and continues to matter today because it laid the foundation for true racial equality, past just being put together with no specific definition. In this 21st century global community, the principles of man can sometimes be blinded by the events that happen around us. However, we cannot forget the legacy of the ones before us, and what they did matters to our present generation. If we understand and learn that his dream is not for us to feed into our flesh, but instead envision hope and acknowledge the principles of true racial equality, we may then finally realize how to implement why Dr. King's dream and legacy matters in every fiber of our local and global society.